The T-34 shuddered. Another shell tore into its armor, the 17th direct hit in less than 3 minutes. Inside, Commander Dmitri Lavrinenko tasted blood. His ears rang. Smoke filled the turret. The engine screamed. Through the vision slit, he saw them. 6 German Panzer IIIs closing in, their barrels turning toward him like the fingers of death. His gunner shouted something he couldn't hear. The tank lurched forward, still moving, still fighting. But to understand how one Soviet tank crew defied impossible odds on the frozen steppe, we must go back to where it all began. October 1941. The German army stood at the gates of Moscow. Operation Barbarossa had shattered Soviet defenses across 1,000 miles. Entire armies vanished. Cities burned. The Nazi war machine seemed unstoppable. Near the town of Volokholamsk, 70 miles from Moscow, the 4th Tank Brigade dug in. They were outnumbered, outgunned, running low on ammunition and fuel. Their orders were simple: hold the line, buy time for Moscow's defenses. On the morning of October 18th, German reconnaissance reported Soviet tank movements near a small village called Gusevo. The German 2nd Panzer Division sent a combat group to investigate. What they found was a single T-34 medium tank hauled down behind a burning farmhouse. What happened next would become legend. Inside Tank 864 sat 4 men. Lavrinenko, 25 years old, already a veteran of 3 months of brutal combat. His voice was calm, even when shells screamed overhead. His crew trusted that voice more than their own instincts. Gunner Grigory Ponomarenko, a factory worker from Ukraine who could hit a moving target at 800 meters. His hands never shook, not once. Driver Ivan Shuklin, the youngest, just 19, with reflexes like a cat. He knew every gear, every sound his tank made. He could feel when she was about to stall before the engine did. Loader Pavel Kovalenko, built like an ox, quiet as stone. He could load a 76mm shell in 4 seconds flat. His record was 3.2. They'd been together for 6 weeks. 6 weeks of retreat, of watching other crews burn, of burying friends in shallow graves. That morning, Lavrinenko had written a letter to his sister. He didn't mail it. The crew shared black bread and cold tea. Nobody spoke about the odds. They didn't need to. At 8:47 hours, Shuklin spotted dust on the horizon.
Movement, northwest. Multiple tanks.
Lavrinenko raised his binoculars. Through the morning haze, he counted them. 1, 4, 8 German tanks advancing in a line formation. Panzer IIIs and IVs, more than enough to crush one Soviet tank.
Position. Hold down behind the barn. Frontal armor only.
Smart. The T-34's sloped front could bounce German shells if they hit at the right angle. If. The radio crackled, static, then silence. They were cut off from command. Lavrinenko watched the German tanks close to 1,200 meters, 1,000 meters. The wind carried the sound of their engines across the frozen field. Ponomarenko pressed his eye to the gunner's sight. His breathing slowed.
Target, lead tank. Range 900.
Lavrinenko's hand rested on Ponomarenko's shoulder. Not yet. 800 meters. The German lead tank stopped, turned its turret. They'd been spotted. Fire! The T-34's gun roared. The German lead tank erupted, turret blown clean off, spinning through the air like a discarded toy. Reload! Kovalenko slammed another shell into the breach, 3.4 seconds. The other German tank scattered, searching for the source of fire. Too late. Ponomarenko fired again. Another German tank shuddered, stopped, began to smoke. Then the world exploded. 3 German tanks fired simultaneously. The first shell screamed past, a miss by centimeters. The second struck the T-34's front glacis plate with a sound like a hammer on an anvil. The tank rocked. The shell ricocheted skyward. The third punched through the track, shredding metal. Shuklin felt it immediately.
Track damaged! We're immobile!
Lavrinenko's voice cut through the chaos.
We hold this position. Keep firing!
Another shell struck the turret, a glancing blow that tore away the radio antenna and left a streak of molten metal across the armor. 4 hits. Ponomarenko fired. A German Panzer III brewed up, black smoke pouring from its hatches. 5 hits on the T-34 now. The armor held, but each impact sent shockwaves through the crew. Kovalenko's nose bled. Shuklin's hands went numb from the vibrations. The Germans adjusted tactics. 3 tanks moved to flank. Lavrinenko saw it.
Traverse right! Panzer at 2 o'clock!
The turret whined. Ponomarenko tracked the target. 2 German shells hit simultaneously, one on the turret side, one on the hull. 7 hits. The tank filled with smoke. Something inside the engine compartment caught fire. Fire suppression, Lavrinenko shouted. Pavel grabbed the extinguisher, doused the flames. The gun fired again. Another German tank stopped, burning. The battle became a rhythm. Load, aim, fire. Take a hit, absorb it, fire again. 10 hits. 12.
The vision blocks cracked. The gun mantlet dented. The engine screamed in protest. 15 hits.
Ponomarenko's hands bled from gripping the traverse wheel. Shuklin couldn't hear anything but ringing. Kovalenko loaded shells like a machine, counting under his breath. Lavrinenko stayed at the periscope, calling targets through smoke and blood and the taste of cordite.
Panzer, 11 o'clock, 600 meters.
Fire. Hit. The German tank force began to pull back. Not retreat, but regroup. They'd lost 6 tanks to 1. One they couldn't kill. At 09:31 hours, 44 minutes into the engagement, the Germans tried one last push. 4 remaining tanks rushed the T-34's position simultaneously, firing on the move. Desperation tactic.
Shells hammered the Soviet tank from multiple angles. 17 hits. 18. 19. The 20th shell punched through the damaged track assembly and into the engine deck. The engine died with a grinding scream. Inside, everything went silent, except for the ringing in their ears and the sound of their own breathing. Lavrinenko looked at his crew. Ponomarenko's face was black with powder burns. Shuklin's hands shook on the dead controls. Pavel held another shell, waiting. Through the cracked periscope, Lavrinenko saw the German tanks slow, pause. They were waiting for the kill. He grabbed the turret traverse, manual override, started cranking by hand. The turret moved, slowly, inches at a time. Ponomarenko understood, lined up the shot without power assist. Ready.
Fire.
The last shell left the T-34's gun. The German command tank exploded. The remaining 3 German tanks retreated, trailing smoke and defeat. When Soviet reinforcements arrived 2 hours later, they found Tank 864 still smoking. 20 direct hits, 20 craters, dents, and gouges in armor that should have failed after 5. The crew sat outside, backs against the track, sharing a single cigarette. Nobody spoke. Ivan Shuklin counted the impact marks with his finger, lost count, started over. Grigory Ponomarenko cleaned his gun sight with a rag, hands finally shaking now that the fight was over. Pavel Kovalenko slept sitting up, head against the damaged road wheel. Dmitri Lavrinenko stared at the burning wrecks dotting the field. 7 German tanks destroyed. 1 Soviet tank, battered, broken, but unbeaten. A lieutenant from the reinforcement company approached, stared at the damage, then at the crew. How? Lavrinenko lit another cigarette.
Russian steel. Russian crew.
The battle at Gusevo was recorded in Soviet military archives as one of the most lopsided tank engagements of the Eastern Front. Tank 864 was towed back to a repair depot. Engineers counted 23 impact marks, 20 direct hits, 3 near misses that still caused damage. Not a single penetration into the crew compartment. Commander Dmitri Lavrinenko went on to become one of the top Soviet tank aces of World War II, credited with 52 tank kills before his death in December 1941. He was posthumously awarded Hero of the Soviet Union. His crew survived the war. The T-34 tank became legendary, not just for its design, but for moments like Gusevo, where courage and engineering defied mathematics. Today, historians still study that engagement. 20 hits, 4 men, 1 tank.
A reminder that sometimes victory isn't about superior numbers, it's about refusing to break. In the darkest hours of the Eastern Front, when the fate of nations hung by a thread, ordinary men became legends, not through grand speeches or perfect plans, but through sheer, unbreakable will.